Like, why? How are there such why are there such wild fluctuations in conversation like that? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lindsay Unfiltered. And today we will be getting into something a little bit different that we've covered before on this channel. We're taking a step back from our A to Z scandals. Jay is coming up next. So if you guys can guess what that is, let me know. But a subscriber of ours asked if we would go over the text messages between Gypsy and Nick that were read in the court case to kind of uncover the motive and the planning of this unfortunate incident. And I thought, that sounds like a good idea for a video. And I did find all the text messages. There are 432 some odd pages. So this might not be able to fit all into one video. It may be another 3-part series. I know we are talking about Gypsy a lot. She was G on our scandal series, and she's kind of branched off into her own scandal series playlist. So we're probably going to have to make a Gypsy Rose playlist, but this is because she's engaging to my viewers and she's in the public eye right now, acting a fool, in my unfiltered opinion. Now, as some of you might not know, Gypsy Rose is pregnant and she's still married. Apparently, she's not pregnant for her husband that she says she's married to. I mean, stuff happens, right? I'm not judging her for that. But just the way she carried it out on social media seemed really crass to me. The things I've been seeing her say, the things I've been seeing her do, I just really don't appreciate it. We already made you an influencer by watching your TikToks, watching your TV shows, and watching your Instagram. Why are you doing this already? It's like a lot of drama with Gypsy off the rip. So I do want to go back and look at those text messages to see if it was more of Nick or more of Gypsy that had this intent and that had this actual plan to go ahead with the crimes they committed back in 2015. Now, I acknowledge that she has done the time for her crime, but the detective in me would like to delve into this a little bit deeper. I, again, don't feel like Gypsy Rose should be barred from social media, as it is her right to use it, just like it is our right to use it. She spent 8 years in penitentiary, and that's what the state at the time deemed was sufficient for her to do. So who are we as citizens to say she can't use an app? That is the way it is, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to open the screen share and we're going to look at these together and I'm going to read them. I will be stopping for analysis, okay, guys? This may be another 3-part series. So let's get into it. And we're back with the text messages. Like I said, I got these text messages from someone on Facebook. I'm in a Facebook group. Someone shared the text messages that were obtained in the court case that they obtained by legal means, and they shared it to the Facebook group. I do want to say I noticed some YouTubers being sued by the Blanchard family. I do want to say that all my opinions are not based in fact. Okay, my opinions are just that, unfiltered opinions. All the information that I am showing you comes from the court case. To my knowledge, any opinions that I have are alleged opinions, okay? They're opinions that are of my own. They're nothing based in fact. This is something that my audience engages in. So with that being said, we are just putting our thinking caps on, putting our detective caps on. You and I, the 208 of my subscribers, again, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you can continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Comments, subscriptions, and shares are so valuable to me and my audience. I would really appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. I'm a small content creator, and it really is a great journey to get to know people and how they think, how they tick, how they work, cover a broad variety of topics. I don't just talk about Gypsy Rose. There are some channels that are only dedicated to her, and they focus on psychology, they focus on the whys, and I understand that. But this is a really hot button topic, so I just want to say my opinions aren't fact. Okay? They will be unfiltered, but I'm not going out of my way to say that I hate anyone, right? Okay? This is Wednesday, May 27th, 2015, okay? The incident occurred in June, I think June 7th, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Gypsy, what was it for, hun? Defendant, which is Nick. That was my evil side who did that. You know, my good side would never call you that, hun. Maybe a bitch when you're being one, but that is all, hun. Nick, well, it's all true, hun. And it was about the voices in my head, but instead of getting rid of them, they became part of me, baby. How it works is based on my thoughts and feelings, dear. It depends on what part of me shows, honey. Gypsy, I understand, hun. But that don't mean I don't understand you. I do. Nick, well, maybe after I explained it, you'll understand, sweetie. Otherwise, no one else understands, hon. Gypsy, well, I do understand. Me and my different ways. Nick, well, we're supposed to understand each other if we just know how to express each other, dear. Heart. Gypsy, sometimes I'm too expressive, LOL. Defendant, not really, because expression involves details, and you know I'm better at that, hon. Gypsy, yes you are, but I too want everything. You do too. Defendant, what do you mean? Gypsy, everything you said you want, I want too, to be together. Defendant, honey, this is where we're different though. I don't just want everything with you, but I need everything with you for me to feel complete, sweetheart. Gypsy, I need you too. BTW, I'm on FB too. Really, dear? Because at times I wonder if you need me. Message. Baby, it could never die. I do need you. It kills me to make you have to be on these ups and downs. Honey, you would not mind using a sweet name every once in a while. It helps me remember I'm worshipped, hon. Worshipped? Nick wanted to feel worshipped by Gypsy. Okay. Sure, sweetie. That's better, dear. It's not that I don't worship you. I do, baby. I do. And I look forward to being with you. I'm just dealing with everything changing, hon. What's changing? What's changing? Oh, see Nick's on the same wavelength as me here. About you or exactly what changes, dear? Gypsy, the move, the change that's coming. What does this mean here? I need a pen, okay? I wish I could have a whiteboard, have these on a whiteboard, because we need a circle, okay? The move, Gypsy says, the change that's coming. What is that? What is that? Darling, I'm scared. Nick draws in. Scared of what, my love? Of everything. I'm not good with change, baby. Nick says, everything? Sweetheart, we both have that in common when it has to do with moving, dear. Gypsy says, I'm gonna be okay. I just needed to calm down and take a breath, but darling, my feelings for you will never change. I'm yours and you do make me happy. Nick, I hope they never change because you scare me at times, dear. Nick, I hope so, honey, because I put my mind, heart, and soul into being with you and making you happy, sweetie. He's completely indebted to her. Completely. Mind, heart, soul, indebted, right? Gypsy, my feelings won't change, and though I have freakouts, I'll always come back to you, my love. I'm so sorry I scared you. How did you scare him, Gypsy? How did you scare Nick? We didn't talk about that, did we? I'll give you lots of love in the hotel, baby. So you knew the plan. You knew the plan at this point. May 27. And you were saying you'll give lots of love. That's what you, okay. Defendant says, well, that's reassuring, dear. I needed that. After doing what my evil side said, hun. This is what he's talking about. I reassured you on Facebook too, hun, Gypsy says. Yes, baby, Gypsy says. So they're confirming you're going to get a lot of love after doing what your evil side said, right? Nick says, okay, baby. Gypsy says, you said. Manipulation tactic here. You said, don't let anything get in our way. I wore myself out with being emotional. Nick says, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear. Gypsy says, sorry, hon, I took a nap. Nick says, I thought you did, dear. Gypsy says, I hope you feel better now, hon, because I do. Nick says, I just need to be reassured, hun. Gypsy says, okay, darling, well, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything, and I'm not giving up. Gypsy said, XOXOXOXOXOX. Nick said, that's music to my ears, sweetie. Gypsy says, big smile. Nick says, dear, will there be less of these freakouts in person? Gypsy said, yes, darling, when we're together, I will be a lot more relaxed. Mostly because we can use hugs, kisses, and body language to prevent it. Nick says, true, and sex will relieve us of the stress, dear. Gypsy says, LOL, that too, hon. Nick says, yes, dear. Gypsy says, a lot of our problems are that we don't have a physical relationship, so that's hard, hon. We're long distance, hon, so that's why we're fighting so much. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, long distance causes issues. But this line of dialogue that I just read, guys, is giving me, I know my camera's focusing in and out. I need a better camera. I'm using a webcam so I can kind of see it focusing. But this line of dialogue is giving me, they had a breakup before this point. They were about to break up. Like, Gypsy's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Nick is like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Or Gypsy's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. We just need to break up. This is too much. They have been going back and forth, right? Maybe to the point of breakup, but we don't have that information here. They are also on Facebook, right? Nick says, true. I suppose most of our problems are physical related, dear. Gypsy says, and I want you to know, being with me won't be hell. It'll be much better, sweetie. Huh. I wonder how her husband feels about that. I'm just saying. Okay. Nick says, when exactly, dear, since you got me curious? Gypsy says, well, I'm going to start now, but it'll be all the way better when we see each other, hun. Start what? Nick says, all right, dear. Gypsy says, do I make you happy? Nick says, we don't have your freakouts. Yes, dear. What are freakouts? Gypsy says, maybe you'll like me better in person. Gypsy says, by the way, I'm afraid of bugs, just so you know, hun. Nick says, bugs? Dear, there's no reason for that. And you know I'll worship you either way, whether in person or from afar. Gypsy says, I'm just letting you know it's my phobia, bugs and spiders. I always feel like crap after I freak out because you're caught in the middle. Is she talking about like her, like when she blows up on her boyfriends, like kind of how she did Anderson in the Lifetime documentary that they did, the reality show? Like when she gets overstimulated with a boyfriend or something, like she just screams. Is that what she's talking about? Gypsy says, I can't even stay an hour away from me. You. I can't even stay an hour away from you. I guess that's what she meant. Nick says, and spiders? That's also something harmless to you most of the time, hun. It's meant to be that way, though, dear. Gypsy says, it's just my fears, hun. So you take your creepy little buggy friends and escort them out of the house. This is so Gypsy Rose core. Nick says, exactly, dear. Nick says, and don't worry about bugs. They're harmless, hun. So is he like a spider guy? Was he a spider guy, a snake guy? He collected little bugs? Like, okay. Gypsy says, so we're all cool, sweetheart? Nick again says, yes, hun. It's just your freakouts that scare me, honey. Gypsy says, well, we have that in common, hun. Nick says, of course we do, dear. So Nick is scared of Gypsy, freaking out on him all the time. The next day, Gypsy, we all love you again, my cutie pie. Nick, that's great news, my L. Gypsy, aw, my dear Carl. Meet me on Facebook, my love. Nick, hun, I'm glad you picked up on the reference. Gypsy, LOL, nice job, cap up. Nick, I knew you would catch on to it, dear. Gypsy, darling, will you tell me the movie you want to watch with me yet? Nick, oh, the same one I have is a surprise. No, dear, it's a surprise. Gypsy, really? LOL, OMG, do you have it? Nick, no, but we'll buy it together, sweetie. Gypsy, okay, hun. Oh, if I show you a YouTube clip of a TV show, would you tell me if you would watch it with me, hun? Nick, well, I have to see the clip first, dear. The next day. Gypsy, hey, handsome. Nick, hey, gorgeous. Gypsy, drool makes you horny. You're weird. Nick, baby, you'll understand when you experience it. Gypsy, darling, I'm safe. Long story, but tornado warning was issued. Nick, that's good news, dear. Gypsy, darling, can you please meet me online? We need to talk about our plan. Our plan. Defendant, okay, honey. Well, they had enough sense not to put certain things on these text messages, didn't they? Gypsy, I'm still daddy's girl. Hold me. And yes, it's kitty daddy. Man, what the hell? Defendant, Nick, baby, why didn't you answer me daddy before as I hold you in my lap? Gypsy, I was taking tummy med to make me feel better, so I put my phone down. The next day. Nick, okay, honey, just never change on daddy, because I never want you to be anything but daddy's everything as I rock you back and forth on my arms on my lap. Gypsy, I won't change daddy. I curl into your shoulder and cuddle. Nick, I keep rocking you back and forth on my arms, on my lap. Are you the same daddy's girl that I reminded you of being in the past, dear? Gypsy, hey, baby. Did y'all just, wait, what happened? What happened? What happened to the role playing? Like, what was the time difference? Oh, Oh, it was later on that day. Gotcha. Hey, baby. Darling, does your house have any kind of car? I'm looking on Google Maps. Nick, dear, it depends on how updated their world map is. Last time I checked, it wasn't the right vehicle. That is true. Google Maps is like 10 years outdated. Gypsy, wow, it's a small place. Defendant, yeah, it's small to a degree. Gypsy, I looked at the population and it's smaller than the smallest town I've lived in. I thought 7,800 was small. Nick, like I said, used to be a village, now it's a town. Gypsy, LL adjust, LOL. Don't know what that means. Gypsy, besides, smaller, less trouble. Are you kidding me? Nick, I hope so because it should be easy one to transcend to, hun. Gypsy, are you ready? Like in all ways, hun? Defendant, what do you mean, dear? Gypsy, for me. Defendant, if I wasn't, I wouldn't be so eager to be living with you, dear. Gypsy, I was supposed to get pregnant in a week and a half. Nick, okay, hun, so what are you saying? Gypsy, I just feel sad I'm not. Defendant, oh, I see, hun. Gypsy, part of me is really worried about my tube. What if I could have had it taken out being pregnant? Part of me is really worried about my tube. What if I could have it taken out being pregnant? Being pregnant. Why are you thinking about being pregnant? I am so confused. I am so confused at this point in time. Nick says, you said you would have it taken out. Gypsy says, could you wait like 10 months for plan B? Nick says, so you want me to get you pregnant again? What is this line of conversation about? Again? Like, what? So you want me to get you pregnant again? Gypsy says, could you wait like 10 months for plan B? Nick says, so you want me to get you pregnant again? Gypsy says, I'm getting it changed, hun. Nick says, oh, because for a second I thought you wanted me to get you pregnant again. So why, that makes no sense to me. Why are you talking about plan B if you're trying to get pregnant? Why are you waiting 10 months for plan B? You don't need plan B if you're getting pregnant. And you're talking about getting something changed, you're getting your tube changed. Why the hell are you talking about plan B? Gypsy, I was just wondering, does Big Ben have a hospital? Besides, I'm late on my period. Defendant, no. Okay. Gypsy says, gotcha. Defendant says, Gypsy says, let's move to Milwaukee. We can stay with your mom for a little. Defendant says, Milwaukee? I'd rather be living in Waukesha, hun. Gypsy says, okay, darling, we can look up apartments in Waukesha. Gypsy says, and with the $5,000 I have, we will be set. Nick says, good idea, dear. Gypsy says, I don't need to marry you to live with you, so we can take our time with wedding. I saw Waukesha looks beautiful, and I can paint and sell my art. Defendant says, dear, I know that, but you mean our 5,000. True, baby. Gypsy says, yes, sir, darling. Gypsy says, and who knows, maybe after a while we can have a ceremony like a wedding, hun. You would make a handsome groom. Defendant says, and we'll live in my birth city, hun. Hopefully live close to Woodman so we get our groceries extremely cheap there. Gypsy says, Waukesha would be a dream come true, sweetheart. I'm pretty sure I'm not saying that right. Waukesha. I'm not saying it right. Defendant says, hun, we're still going to follow our kind's traditions, though, dear. What's your kind's? Your kind? Gosh, that sounds off to me. That sounds off. Hun, we're still going to follow our kind's traditions. That is triggering. Our kind. Okay. Gypsy says, of course, darling. Good God Almighty. Nick says, I look forward to it, my dear. Gypsy says, I look forward to cuddles. Gypsy says, I dreamt about it. And you gave me oral. Nick says, maybe so, but I look forward to kissing you, as I will do in the future. Gypsy blushes. Nick, well, it's true, baby. Gypsy, will you give me my first oral soon, my love? Will you me on the bus? I desire pleasure too, hun. Excuse me? Nick says, hun, I may be naughty on the bus. It depends on the moment. Depends on how naughty, hun. Gypsy says, well, I'm going to touch you. And I'm going to kiss you too everywhere. Defendant says, dear, I may give you your permission to. Gypsy says, good, darling. Defendant, as for the kissing, you know you can do that on my body, sweetie. Gypsy says, the first movie I want to watch with you is 50 Shades of Grey. I also think that we should start with soft, wet cavities before big time cavities. Whew. Gypsy says, let's talk on Facebook. Nick says, dear, I'll watch that with you to get us in the mood, which depends on the time. It could be a later movie, dear. Nick says, as for cavities, don't worry about that because it's my job as your master to dear. Gypsy says, you make my girly parts tingle. Nick says, I'm glad I do, because I'm supposed to, hun. Gypsy says, I'm thinking about you in a naughty way. Nick says, that's good. Next day, Gypsy says, you're great, Daddy, and think you're doing the worst for the best of us. Nick says, you're welcome, my dear. Gypsy says, looking at your movie lights and music, you couldn't be more upset. Gypsy says, I like country, you like metal. MEDAL. Gypsy says, I like drama, you like comedy. Gypsy says, goodness, this is awkward. Well, LL, expand my interest. Nick says, those are just a few, hon. Gypsy says, I do like the animated ones. Nick says, we have more in common than you may think. Gypsy says, darling, please read what I said. Nick says, okay, hon. Gypsy says, good morning, the love of my life. Gypsy says, you know what? I'm going to start wearing a ring because I want to feel married to you. So one of my rings from the girly shop, Claire, will do. I know about Claire's. I think every girl knows about Claire's, right? I want to do that right, just so I know you're not going anywhere. Yes, the tangled pose, when they both tried each other up. I wish I could just, so you would be stuck with me. Gypsy, you are with a little red string. Defendant, how, hun? Gypsy, we are tied by our souls and hearts. I might tie you up in a kinky way. Defendant, honey, I'm warning you though. You ever give me a scare like that in person, I will tie you up until I'm sure you aren't going anywhere. Because I want to make sure we're never apart, dear. Nick gave her clues here. If you ever leave me, I'm going to tie you up. Gypsy, I won't do it in person. You're all I would have in this life. Hi, sweetie. I got rest and I'm myself again, baby. I can't take it no more. I can't take no more of this. I can't do any more of this right now. Guys, what? Okay, so what did we learn over the first couple of days of text messages? We learned they're both mentally unstable, right? Gypsy thinks that she's bipolar. Gypsy thought that Nick would be more happy about her saying the idea was a go. All right. And Nick says, okay, hun, and I'm sorry I didn't answer till now. Gypsy says, I need to tell you a secret, hun. Nick says, go ahead, dear. Gypsy says, I never stopped sucking. Gypsy says, I never stopped sucking Pediasure, Sure, from a baby bottle, Boddle. Nick says, baby, I already knew that. Gypsy says, you know? How? Nick says, baby girl, seriously, do you not understand that I'm with you spiritually? I experience everything with you, dear. That's why there's no point in hiding things from me. Gypsy says, oh, okay, hun. Are you with me when I'm naked? I'm going to church, hun. What the fuck? Like, why? How are there such why are there such wild fluctuations in conversation like that? God. Nick, okay, hun, and I'm with you at all times. Gypsy, darling, I'm 100% with the plan. Nick, what do you mean, dear? Gypsy, I'm in for it, hun. No doubts. So it was on the table till then. Now she says, she pushes that button. This is the Powerade cap. That's what she did on that day. It was May 31st. You see here, Nick is still acting clueless, like he's not in here, right? May 31st. Darling, I'm 100% with the plan. I'm in for it, hun. No doubts. It's a go here. She says, I was expecting, I don't know, joy, I guess. From him? Of course he's not about to be happy. He don't want to do that. Because her and Dee Dee probably got into it, allegedly. And then she's like, I'm in with it. It was on the table till May 31st. Nick says, dear, of course I'm happy. Gypsy says, okay, good, sweetie. What's your stepdad's name so I know? Nick says, Charlie. That's what it is, hon. Gypsy says, okay, darling, cool. Nick says, yes, dear. Gypsy says, please be online. Nick says, okay, darling. June 1st. Gypsy says, so you won't end this? Defendant says, I'm not saying anything besides it's a waste of time. Gypsy says, get your ass back now. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to rip you a new one. Nick says, that's not worth it. I always fight for us. It's your turn for once. Gypsy said, me? How the hell am I going to fight if it's one-sided? What will I wear to impress your folks? I'm going to go with you, god damn it. Nick says, I told you I'll let you know in person. Why do you say it that way? Gypsy comes back and says, I'm me again. I'm sorry, my love. Nick says, dear, you gave me another scare. Gypsy says, oh, okay, well, good night, hun. I don't know what's wrong with me. Do you know? Nick says, come on, baby. I know you can bond with me better than that. I love, adore, and worship you, my dear, true love. Gypsy said, I just did it online at the same time. I didn't mean it when I called a life with you trash. Nick said, dear, it's about the sex. Like I told you before, the sooner I give you a climax, the sooner you go back to your lovey-dovey happy self, hun. But I just said it back to you, sweetie. Please say it back, sweetie. Gypsy. So sex is like a tranquilizer. Lol. Nick, baby, someday you'll how important it is in your life. Gypsy. Just forget all I said tonight. Nick, why you say that? Gypsy, I never meant any hurtful thing. I'm in self-destruction mode. When I'm like that, ignore me. Nick, well, all I can do is hope you come back, honey. Gypsy, I want to be with you. Nick, I know, dear. You scared me, though. I thought I lost you. You almost did. I think I'm bipolar. Nick, what? Baby, I don't want to lose you, though. And you told me that I can ever lose. Now I worry I will. Gypsy, well, it's more I would push you away until you walked away. I can't leave, but I can make you leave. Nick, baby, is that supposed to be comforting? Gypsy, in a way, yes, hon. Nick, please don't push me away too hard, hon. Gypsy, is there a medication for bipolar, hon? Question mark. She was trying. She was pushing through trying here, right? Nick, baby, if I did let you take that medication for that, are you thinking it would help? Gypsy, ow, massive migraine. I'm not sure it could be the distance, because I would have jogged to Wisconsin that night I met you. Nick, so you're saying it will get better once we're in person? Gypsy, yes, darling, that's exactly what I'm saying. I still have mood swings, just not severe ones like tonight. Nick, baby, please say it, because I'm worried still. And it will be nice to be comforted right now. Gypsy, sweetie, please don't be worried. I'm not going to be anywhere, well, I'm going to be with you. I'm by your side, hon. The ups and downs will balance out with us being together in person. Nick, you know what I want to do after tonight's scare, hon? Gypsy, have sex, LOL, nudges your arm. Nick, baby, do you remember the tangled posts I gave you a while ago? Gypsy, of course. COURCE, hun. Gypsy, you want to hit me with a frying pan? Oh my God, that's such Amanda Show reference. I hope that's an Amanda Show reference, because if it is, that's funny. If it's not, that's concerning. Okay, defendant. Nick says Gypsy is what he lives, breathes, and thinks about every day. If Gypsy ever tries to leave him, it might be bad news for her. Their relationship seems to center around intimacy, sex, and bonding through movies, TV references, and things of that nature. They don't talk about their parents much in the text messages at all. She talks about pregnancy, wanting to get pregnant by Nick. We don't really get into any details here, but we can see it's a go. 100% on May 31st. I just can't. Some of this stuff in here just had me like, what? And then Gypsy would say the shit that she would say the shit that she was saying, and then go back like a couple hours later and be like, I'm fine, hun. And she even said, do you think I need bipolar medication? And Nick, at the time, he wasn't taking his. He was like, what's that gonna do? Because most people with the mental health issues, depression, they feel like, what's a pill gonna do? Right? Lord have mercy. I'm scared to read any more of this, but we're gonna finish it. We're gonna finish it in another video, guys. That was riveting. Some of the stuff that I read in there. I had fun with it. I had to read it in like some accents and stuff, put my own comedic relief on it. Nothing in here is funny. I'm not trying to make a joke of anything, but it's just to put a little bit of light on a very heavy situation that happened in the past. I'm not making fun of them or anything of that nature. It's just for entertainment and content purposes, guys. I thank all of my subscribers. All 208 of you are beautiful souls, beautiful humans. Get up and do something great tomorrow, okay? Get up and do something great tomorrow, okay? You're capable, you're able, okay? And if you have any issues like with anxiety or depression, don't be afraid to speak out, because we all deal with it, okay? We all deal with those issues, so don't be afraid to speak out if you feel like something's not right, or talk to somebody, or inbox somebody, and just let them know, hey, I'm just not feeling okay, I'm not feeling right. Be a listener to someone else, because you don't know how many lives you could save or have saved by doing just that. Okay, guys? So that's my tip for the day. I want to thank everybody for stopping in and watching this video with me. I am Lindsay, unfiltered. And you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, guys. Bye now.